Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Wanted dead or alive? Your money. Stay tuned. We'll show you how to keep more of it.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. The WorryFree Retirement. Your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist, 5-time author, and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
I have 3 very important questions for you. Number 1, how would you define money? In other words, to you, what is money? Question number 2, what is the purpose of money? And number 3, how in the world can we live for the rest of our lives without running out of it? Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am that little man in the sweater vest, Tony Walker, and today with me in the studios, as always, is America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, and our technical assistant, his favorite financial sidekick, quite frankly, Megan Murphy. We're glad to have you along. And we're going to find out how the financial world is after your money, whether you're dead or alive, and of course, regardless of how long you live. We're going to talk about how the best way is for you to plan for the future, and here's the important thing about the Worry-Free Retirement, the proper perspective on money, and at the same time, how to keep from running out of it. So let's start with the first key question. What is money? And you might say, well, Tony, money is money, isn't it? I mean, I heard a guy on the radio talking about it's even math. Money's math. Isn't that what money is? This is just about saving money and doing math, and hopefully you have enough money to live on or something like that. And I would say, no, money is really not math, but money is simply a commodity. In fact, money just represents something of value, so that when you exchange your money for something either tangible or possibly even intangible, it has to be exchanged for money. In fact, just to give you an example of this, I'm holding in my hands a hot little, it's not really little, I guess, $100 bill. Guess who's on the $100 bill quick? Ben Franklin. So the first thing we need to know is, what is this thing actually worth? What is a $100 bill worth? What will it buy? And here's the more important point, who decides what we can buy with it? So if I do buy something with this $100 bill, I want to make sure this thing is real. What are they looking at when they do this anyway? I don't know. It looks real to me. Where does it actually go? Where does this $100 bill end up when it's exchanged for a good or service, whether it's tangible or something else? So money is a very funny thing. It's easy to see and grasp, but it really is complicated. Even our economic system, which is based on these little pieces of paper, really doesn't mean much. In fact, this piece of paper says it's actually a note. It says Federal Reserve note, so it's backed by the federal government. Just this little piece of paper, and it's got 100 on it, so it's worth $100. But then, who says what the $100 bill will buy? Well, that's the public. That's the market. And it all depends on what consumers want. Now, to just show you how confusing all of this money business can really be, I'm going to go over to the whiteboard and I'm going to start with a little riddle, okay? This is going to be a lot of fun. So here we go. I'm going to imagine that I've got my $100 bill here. First of all, I'm going to imagine that I'm a hotel owner, all right? And to assist us with this is our very own Aaron Orander. Get in here, Aaron. Now remember, that's my $100 bill, but you're going to pretend.
All right.
So you're the patron, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, so Aaron, he's the patron. He's the consumer. He owns the $100 bill, and you need a room for the night at my hotel. So I say, well, Mr. Aaron Orander, be $100. Can I have $100, please?
Sure.
We'll hold the room for you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
All
So
right.
are you ready for your room key?
Not yet. I'm going to run across the street. I've been on the road all day. I'm going to run across the street, get a bite to eat. I'll be back in just a little bit, okay?
Thank you very much, sir. We'll see you soon. Okay, so I got his $100 bill and I'm all excited. You know why? Here's the problem. I owe some money to somebody. In fact, I owe $100 to my friendly neighborhood baker who supplies all of my pastries for my guests. So I got my $100, right? It flows through my hands. I pay off the $100 to the baker. This is called a working capital turn. The dollar has turned one time. Now the baker, it's kind of interesting. He was excited to get the $100 because he owes, I'll put the flour distributor here, he owes the person that supplies him the flour to make the pastries. Guess what he owes him? $100. So the baker's all excited. He gets his $100, but he owes some money. So he pays off the distributor of the flour. Okay, the flour guy has to pay the mechanic $100 because the mechanic recently had to work on the flour guy's truck that he delivers the flour in. See where this is going? So this same $100 bill is flowing around. Now the mechanic recently had a reception for his daughter at my hotel and he still ain't paid me my $100 yet. So the mechanic brings in the $100 and repays the debt to me. See how simple all of this is? Everybody's happy. Everybody's gotten paid off this same little dollar bill that actually was kind of printed out of thin air and is backed by the government. So now, oh, here he comes. Here comes Mr. Aaron Orander now. Have a good meal, sir.
Oh, yeah, I am stuffed.
And here's your room key.
Oh, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and just skip the room. I'm going to go ahead and get back on the road. I got a deadline to keep, so
oh, well, I'm sorry you have to cancel,
there's
sir.
Your room key. Yeah. Now I am going to need that $100 back. Okay.
Oh, you need that back?
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good night.
All right. What just happened here, folks? Who lost out here? I'll tell you what just happened. The hotel owner, me, because I had to give back to Aaron the $100. Now think about what happened here. This is what happens in our economy. That same dollar flowed through and paid everybody back, but who did it cost? Me. So here's what's happening, folks. Money is running through your hot little hands. You've got it stored away, socked away in your 401k plan. You're the hotel owner, and you think all this money is really yours. What's happening is your money, everybody's after it whether you're alive, and as we're going to see, even when you die. So if you don't like the looks of this hotel owner, if you realize you kind of feel like him or her, and you want to keep more of your money working for you, stay tuned. I'll be right back to show you how to avoid this scenario. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement.
And now it's time for the adventures of Stella and Scout. You've been watching the adventures of Stella and Scout.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has the company you work for recently moved or been acquired or closed its doors forever? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k to safer territory. Why continue to risk your hard-earned money when you don't have to? Let's meet in person today to discuss your retirement options. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person. Do it today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. We're in our Wanted Dead or Alive series, and we're talking about number 3, your money and how to keep more of it. You know, there's basically 3 questions we've been talking about. We're going to try to answer those today. Really important questions, and the Worry-Free Retirement is framed around this attitude of perspective on money first, then invest. First one is, how would you define money? You know, you have to have a basic understanding of how money works. The reason we did that little skit a minute ago was just to remind people how money flows, how institutions understand this. It's all about controlling money. Who controls the money wins the game. The problem is most of you are giving up control of the money. The second question you got to ask yourself is, what's the purpose of money? The worry-free retirement is so different from other planning tools and strategies and financial worlds. What they want is you to be in fear all the time. They want you to invest your money with them and never use it. Maybe you could use a little interest or they'll throw you a bone, but you can't use this money. You might run out, right? The worry-free retirement is no. You basically want to use and enjoy the money, and then we can show you how you won't run out to boot. And then finally, the third question that's really important is, well, how do you accomplish that, Tony? I can't do that with Wall Street. My 401k can't guarantee we won't run out of money, and that's where we come up with mailbox money. Now, here's an example. I had this Tony in the Trenches question come up, and I decided, actually it was with an actual client or prospective client. Let me explain something. What happens is this show is not my full-time gig, folks. Right now, we are recording this show on September 4th, 2019 in our Louisville studios. Aaron and Megan are faithfully producing this. We spend hours upon hours researching, writing, and producing the show. To boot, I also see tons of people. I had 16 appointments just yesterday. So a lot of the information I gather in is not from books or attending seminars or thinking of this stuff driving up and down I-65. I actually run into people with these very questions. So here's one right here. Gentleman says, Tony, I'm 62 years of age. I've had some serious health issues. This comes up, folks. I'm coming up close to 60. My bones are starting to hurt more than they used to. As the old lady once told me, my hair's starting to hurt even. So I feel like this person says, I don't have enough money to retire, but what? This person's worried about their health. They're worried they may not live a long time. You know, many times when I'm talking to people, I'm asking about their parents. How long did your parents live? How about your siblings? It's important to think through how long you might live. Why? So we can set up a plan to use and enjoy it while you can. The person goes on to ask, Tony, can you help me decide if now is the time to retire? And if so, can you make sure I don't run out of money? Well, let me answer that question with another question. What right now, think about this, is your most valuable asset? See, this is where everybody goes here. They're not thinking clearly on this. They've been duped in by the financial world thinking there's some magic financial bullet or product out there. Folks, there's no perfect financial product and there's no terrible financial product. You start with a game plan, you realize the perspective of time, and then you invest in your assets. But so let's look at what the typical person might say. Obviously, if you're 55 years of age or older, especially if you're a saver, you're going to say, well, Tony, my most valuable asset is definitely my 401k plan. You might say, no, my home. I love my home. It's paid for. My wife and I want to stay there as long as we can. Yep, my home is my most valuable asset. Some people just have large amounts of money in the bank. They feel comfortable having the security of a bank, the FDIC insurance that comes with a bank, the liquidity that comes with a bank. There's nothing wrong with that. They might say, my bank account. One of my favorite products, people say, I love those annuities. I like the principal protection. I like the fact that if I turn on mailbox money, I'll never outlive it. Yeah, my annuity is my most valuable asset. This is a good one. You know, Megan and Aaron, they're not really thinking about retirement planning. You know what their most valuable asset is? Their ability to get up and come to work and earn a living. It's their job. So certainly that could be your most valuable asset. But you know what I think the most valuable asset is? We're all on the same page with this. Time. Time. We all have, listen, 24 hours a day, assuming the Lord doesn't take you home today, 24 hours a day. Each of us, no matter your plight, no matter your situation, we all are possessing the same amount of time. And this is very important when you're thinking about your perspective on money and life. You wake up, I woke up this morning, I've been up since 3:30 preparing this show. And you say, well, Tony, why are you up so early? Because I want the show to be really good. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow, but I got 24 hours and I'm going to maximize my time to make sure this show is as good as it can be. Megan and Aaron came in at 7:30 this morning. Why are y'all up so early doing that? So we can make sure we have plenty of time, because after this, I still have to see many people. I've got to strategize and use my time wisely, and so do you. Many of you are not spending your time wisely. You're not meeting with experienced retirement specialists. You're not getting your things organized so that I can look at them. You'll spend more time watching the evening news and talk show host than you will meeting with an experienced retirement planner and getting things laid out. And the best of all, I've done this so long, I've met with thousands and thousands of people. I can get this stuff laid out in a couple of hours. I'm very, very good at this, and because I've done so much of it, I can take the guesswork out of it and I can simplify this to save you time. So this is my profession, all right? This is what I do for a living. These are my credentials. I've been at this a long time. I've studied under some of the best minds in the industry. I've successfully matriculated from 2 of the top educational facilities in the country. I've spent time educating myself so that I can help you set up a game plan so that you can use and enjoy and protect this money without the fear of running out. So we talked earlier about this idea of how can I make my money work for me? How can I get a perpetual paycheck for the rest of my life? When I come back, I'm going to show you how to get out of that hotel, right? You don't want to be the hotel owner. I want to show you how to play the rules of the game like the financial world plays them. How can you use and enjoy your money for you and your family for the rest of your life without the fear of running out? You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. Good stuff coming up. I'll be right back.
Tired of the financial world chasing after your money? Dinner seminar invitations? Annoying pop-up ads on your computer from out-of-state advisors? It all adds up to confusion. There is a better way. Meet in person with nationally recognized retirement specialist Tony Walker. Tony's personal one-on-one approach has helped thousands of savers worry less about money, and best of all, Tony's right in our own backyard. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Make the short drive to meet in person with Tony now. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Man, I love this photo. It's a little grainy. This is myself right after high school, roughly 1978. That's my granddad. He just retired a couple years before after working 43 years with Bell South. There's Inky the cat. Now, my granddad was laid back, okay? He had his beloved mailbox money. I even looked back at the column on there. He said, hey, your granddad lazy? Why is he not painting that column? Folks, this was in a day and time people were just glad to have a little pocket change. Granddad was very simple, but he was also a very kind fella. He was very knowledgeable. He was a former engineer, had a couple patents to his name, but he knew all he had to do was not spend any more than he had coming in from his mailbox money, his pension and Social Security, which are basically just annuities. It's interesting. People say, well, I don't like those annuities. Well, you probably don't need your pension and Social Security. I met with a gentleman the other day and we were talking about this, and he had that very same question. He said, I don't know much about annuities. And he hands me this. And I said, sir, that's your pension options. He goes, yeah, it's my pension. What? And I said, it's so funny. Look at this. It says annuity right there. It doesn't call itself a pension, although that's what it is. It's called an annuity. So folks, if you want to learn the truth about annuities and mailbox money, we've got a great offer for you. Megan, if you can throw this up, look at what we're going to do here. First of all, for the first 25 people that go to our website at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, type in the search bar giveaways, I'm going to send you absolutely free, we'll mail it to you, I promise we won't show up at your doorstep, hard copy of Don't Follow the Herd. It talks about other people's money, how the flow of money never seems to get back to us, a little bit about what we talked about in the hotel owner, and also mailbox money. 25 copies, the first 25 people that go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and register for the giveaway. Obviously, if you want the booklet I wrote, Mailbox Money for Life, now that's under the download section, absolutely free. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, in that search bar, type on downloads, and you can download that great booklet to learn more about Granddad's beloved mailbox money. Real quickly, in the essence of time, Megan, if you would, this is one of my favorite graphs. I came up with this years ago. After studying savers, I realized that the financial world had really duped savers. The financial world had told people that as they got older, they'd need more and more money. Well, why do they do that? Because they don't want you spending it, because it takes it away from them. Remember the hotel operator, okay? What I found was, as people get older, this is called the second half of life. I watched this with my granddad. You begin to spend less and less. Your expenses go down, not up. So this is why we encourage people, just like the gentleman on our Tony in the Trenches, when you get into your 60s roughly, folks, please listen closely. This is the period of time, usually between about 60 and 70, you better start using and enjoying this money. Remember, money's a funny thing. The longer you hold on to money, number one, you're probably not going to spend it, but actually it becomes worth less. I didn't say worthless, I said worth less. The effects of inflation, taxes. Speaking of taxes, I got to go over this, folks. I know we're running out of time. Look at this. I want to show you something. Your RMD, Now, why am I jumping to this real quick? This is really an interesting phenomenon. Many people save money all their life. They're plowing money into their 401ks and they're afraid to spend it. Well, the government knows they got to get their taxes. You got a tax tumor in there. They want their money. They want their revenue. You haven't paid any taxes on this. So at 70 and a half, age 70 and a half, the government mandates or requires you to take out what's called your RMD, Required Minimum Distribution. Now, something interesting happened in Congress just recently. They passed into the law, I've got to check to see if the Senate's approved this as well or voted it into law. An interesting thing, look at this, let's go to this, Megan. They've increased the age at which you have to take money out. In other words, they're saying with this new law, oh, no, you don't have to take it out at 70 and a half. It's not mandatory anymore. We'll let you put it off till age 72. Now, the last time I checked, I'm not sure if most politicians are really thinking about my retirement and allowing me to use and enjoy my money. And if you stay with the logic that we're using here, it looks like we're even putting it off further. You're getting older. You're not using and enjoying it. Many of you are getting killed with fees. So if the money stays with the accounts, if Wally World's managing it or whatever, and some guy's charging 1.5%, well, sure, he doesn't want you taking it out. And then the government, think about this. Let's put up the magical date that I've been kind of keeping track of. It's called 2026. What's the significance there, Tony? That's supposedly when the tax laws that are written now will expire. Folks, we are at some of the lowest tax rates I've seen in my 35 years in this business. They are the lowest that I've seen. Many of you can elect to pay taxes at around 12%. That means if you pull out $1,000 from your 401k or IRA now, let's say you're 64, you'll only pay about 12% in taxes. We're not counting state, we're just talking about federal. You say, what's the big deal, Tony? Is that really a good deal? It's a huge deal because in 2026, when this tax plan expires, now think about this, folks, we're getting further and further in debt as a country. Talking about the same dollar moving over all the time, we are over 22 trillion, the deficit's growing, nobody's dealing with it. There's over $28 trillion in these 401ks, IRAs, and pensions that nobody's paid taxes on. Go back to the other graph real quick, Megan. Let's talk about this age 72. So what they know is, I think this is what they know, if they can put off the pain, if they can tell you don't take the money and wait till 72, number one, you're probably going to have more money in there, right? That you're getting closer to the tax laws possibly going up. This is just speculation on my part, but I think a lot of people agree with this, economists and other politicians. So the point is, what's the point? Why are you waiting to use and enjoy this money? It makes no sense, folks. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Quit playing around here. Quit being a pawn with your money and take control. You know, with the Worry-Free Retirement, one of the things that's so invaluable with what we do, we help people get organized. Then as we get you organized, we provide you a written game plan. Why do we go to all this trouble and expense? It doesn't cost you a dime to get these written game plans because we know when you get organized and see what we're recommending, it's going to be easier to make a financial decision. Many of you are rushing out and blindly throwing your money at people with no game plan. I don't understand that. That to me is foolish. So you've got to have a plan. You've got to think through where you're going to get your mailbox money from. And then most importantly, you've got to have a retirement planning specialist like myself and a firm that backs me up, service experts, to make sure they meet the needs that are going to come your way. There will be change, folks. I can assure you that. We're about out of time. We've got to save a little bit of time for the Bible. Interesting take on Scripture coming up. Did you realize one of the sharpest females in the Bible understood mailbox money? You're not going to believe this one. This is some really good stuff. I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has a company you work for recently moved or been acquired or closed its doors forever? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k to safer territory. Why continue to risk your hard-earned money when you don't have to? Let's meet in person today to discuss your retirement options. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person. Do it today. You know, whether it's sports, politics, or retirement, money is what makes the world go round. And God knew this. That's why the Bible references money and possessions more than heaven and hell. You know, one of the most interesting chapters on planning for the future actually can be found in Proverbs chapter 31. It's referred to by religious leaders as the perfect wife or perfect woman. Speaking of perfect wives, I've been blessed with a pretty darn good spouse myself. But to tell you the truth, Proverbs 31 about ended our marriage. You see, back in 1991, when I first became a follower of Christ, I couldn't get enough of the Bible. I read over it all the time, pored over it, and then I stumbled into Proverbs 31 and read about this perfect woman and how she was the perfect wife. Of course, in my zeal to follow God and improve my marriage, I suggested Susan read this chapter. You thought she might have picked up a few tips, Well, after yours truly dodging a few throwing objects from my wife, one can only imagine now how I felt putting such a high standard on anybody to be so perfect. So instead, let's look at the text and how her good common sense can apply to all of us regardless of our imperfections as we look at verse 16. And it describes her as the following. She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. The question is why? Why consider a field? Because she knew if she purchased the proper field, she could then lay out the vineyard, and the vineyard would create kind of mailbox money. You see the wisdom of what she was doing? She understood that she could only work so long. She could only work so hard. But what she discovered was, hey, if I go out here and select the right field, if I assess the right field, and then it produces money for me, I won't have to work so hard, and I'll have grapes for the rest of my life. Well, folks, many of you are not thinking this way. It is really not that complicated. What we help people do is find the proper vineyard, just like the Proverbs 31 woman, and make sure that that vineyard is producing fruit for the rest of our lives. We do this by utilizing our proprietary split IRA concept, where we mesh in our Charles Schwab platform along with the mailbox money. Want to learn more? Want to meet with me in person? Maybe you got a 401k, money languishing in the bank. Maybe you don't have an advisor in whom you really can trust, a fiduciary who's looking out for your best interest. I would like to have the opportunity to meet with you either by phone or in person. It's easy to do, and best of all, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And while there, just click on the Let's Get Started button. Your information is confidentially shared with our office, and we'll be in touch with you in short order. Do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And oh yeah, don't forget, the first 25 folks that go to the website and request the giveaways in the search bar will get a signed autographed copy from yours truly of Don't Follow the Herd. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. Next week on the WorryFree Retirement, we'll be into Wanted Dead or Alive, step number 4. I got a good one coming up. But between now and next week, if all else fails, you remember to be worry-free. Make it a good one.